Welcome to Go Talk Studios. I'm your host, Lionel Lapidos. Here at Go Talk Studios, we bring you real people, real stories, real Sarawak. Now, today's guest went to boarding school in Canada. He graduated in International Business and Finance from the University of San Francisco. He rose to Executive Vice President and Regional Head of East Malaysia and Brunei at one of the country's largest banking groups. And then he walked away under a golden handshake in 2008 to serve his community from the ground up. Senator Dato Ahmad bin Ibrahim is a PBB Supreme Council member and a member of the Dewan Negara in a second term, serving until 2028. He is of Melanau and Iban heritage, fluent in 4 languages, and has spent the years since his banking exit in local government, serving community organizations and the Senate, where he has been one of the more specific and data-driven voices on Sarawak's rights, resource revenues, and the promises of MA63. Senator Ahmad, welcome to Go Talk Studios. Thank you for actually taking the time to join us. It's kind of, it's always tricky trying to contact someone of your stature, because I would imagine your schedule is...
Thank you, Lano. And also thank you to Gordon for having me here. I got a call, so I don't mind. I'm a bit free, but next week onward, I'll be in KL for about 5 days. We don't have any sessions, so I'm around.
Perfect.
And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So before we get into maybe the titles and the chamber, all right, I want to explore your childhood. Right, you grew up in Kanuit. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe tell us, what was your childhood like? What were you?
My childhood was very simple. I mean, I was born in Kanawit. Kanawit is a small town, not far from Cebu, 15 minutes. To a mixed marriage couple. My mom is Iban, pure Iban. My dad is Malay Melanau heritage, Muslim. My mom was Catholic. A little bit story about them. I mean, their romance story is very interesting because my dad was serving somewhere in Kapit, Song, at the time as a police officer. Met my mom, who was working a trainee as a nurse in Methodist hospital in Kapit. They fell in love and they decided to get married. My father asked permission to marry her, and I was born on 14 August 1969. And in St. Joseph Hospital in Kanawit, I spent 3 years of my life there because during that time was during the Kompensasi, or some people call it emergency, where the communists was very active on the ground those days. And the safest place for my mom while bringing me up 9 months in her belly and giving birth was in Kanawit until I was old enough, about 3 years old. Then my father come pick us up, move us to Lundu, which is near the coast, about an hour away from here. I grew up anak polis, anak pegawai polis, simple life. I move around a lot in police quarters. From Lundu, we moved to Kuching, to Jalan Bairudin Barracks, the wooden barracks in Jalan Bairudin. Then we moved to a flat in Bairudin also. Then after that, we moved to Simpang Tiga Police Complex. Then we moved to Syrian when my father was posting. So I move around a lot. The last time we moved after Syrian was Tebuan Jaya Police Complex towards my father's retirement. Typical children of police officers, we live in a compound where we are surrounded by families of police officers. We did a lot of things together. We go fishing, play football, get in trouble together, take the bus to school, hang out at those days there was no shopping mall. So most of our activities surround active playing football, which is the most common thing at that time. Or lepak at Electra House. It was very simple and basic. Those days there was not much amenities, there was not much shopping centers.
So then when you were say as a child, what did you hope to become as an adult? What did you envision yourself as?
I envisioned myself to follow my father's footsteps. Um, I always liked the uniform. Um, Actually, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to study law and graduate and come back and become an ASP, a police officer, assistant superintendent of police. But my father, decided. I mean, during those days when I was growing up, we listened to our parents a lot. We do not have much to say, so he says, "No, you cannot do law. How about political science?" I said, "No, you cannot do political science. You do anything to do with business." So I did finance. Yeah.
Oh, and then that's how you ended up. Okay, so that was
Yeah.
essentially your father's decision.
Yes, pretty much. My father made a lot of decision for me. I appreciate it. I mean, my children had it totally different from me. Different upbringing.
Different
Yeah.
circumstances.
Yeah.
So then, how do you end up going to Canada for boarding school? And you did so when you were 15. How did that happen?
I guess after during my time, it was called LCE, Lower Certificate Examination. After Form 3, sat for my exam. We were the last batch for English medium. If we fail, we have to repeat everything in Bahasa Malaysia. So I was the last batch, you make or die. So when I entered Form 4, from St. Joseph is Jesuit school. After St. Joseph Secondary School, I moved to Syrian, SMK Syrian. Then during that time, I was supposed to go for my MCE, Malaysian Certificate Examination. But my uncle told my father, "Why don't you send him overseas?" My uncle sponsored my education. So I went. I took his advice. My father gave me the green light. All he advised me was, if you go, remember where you come from. Remember your roots. And do your very best. I knew what he meant because we are indebted. I mean, my father would not be able to afford sending me overseas at his salary. I knew that. I mean, I grew up knowing that till today. I very appreciate the sacrifice of my father's family. I went to Canada. I left. Actually, I was 15. You're right. I flew from Kuching to Kuala Lumpur, Subang International Airport at that time. There was no KLIA. 1995. Then from Subang, we went to Abu Dhabi, transit. I can't remember which airline. It could be British Airways. Then from Abu Dhabi, we transit to London. In London, we transit to Toronto in Canada. Then from Toronto, we took another flight to Ottawa. It was a long flight. It took us almost 2 days to get to Ottawa. I celebrated my birthday over the Atlantic.
Oh, wow.
In transit, in the flight. 16. That's why my cars have number 16. A lot of people don't know what happened to 16. It's because I left my country at 16. And it's the first time I experienced something totally different. Completely different. I was budak kampung, suddenly thrown into the ocean, in the big city.
You are now there in the snow, the reindeers.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
The weather is crazy. First time I experienced 4 seasons. Of course, I mean, you have summer, and then you get spring, fall, then you got winter. The winter is absolutely horrible.
I mean, that sounds like a crazy transition, right? You're coming from here, and now all of a sudden temperatures in the minus?
Yeah, and Ottawa is one of the coldest capital in the world. It's minus 30, almost 40 Celsius. But I learned to love it because I went to boarding school. So boarding school, you stay on boarding, you have to participate in whatever activities they have. You pick and choose. They give you 4 choices. So I had a curious mind because everything is new and I like to please the girls, the ladies those days. So I'm sorry, I'm being honest. My wife can, she knows. I mean, that's where I met my wife, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Boarding school, yeah.
Oh, so she knows for sure.
Yeah, she was in the girls' wing, I was in the boys' wing. So I pick up skiing, I pick up ice hockey, I pick up curling. Yeah, I did ice skating and I learned to love it. That's why every year end I go for a winter holiday somewhere
Oh, wonderful.
because I like to experience it.
So then, how was that boarding school? Yeah, boarding school is filled with a ton of stories because it's, I think, especially as teenagers in that sort of
Yeah.
institution, right?
Okay.
And then for you coming from
Yeah.
a completely different place, what was that like for you? Did people treat you in any way? How did it feel? Now from Kanawit, and of course you moved to
Okay.
Kuching.
Right.
You're in Ottawa,
Uh-huh.
living amongst these people. What was boarding school like?
It was a shock. I tell you what shocked me the most
Mm.
about boarding school was communal shower, all naked,
Mm.
boys.
Oh my lord!
So when I was in year 10, grade 10, I had to stay in a room with 3 boys. And every morning you have to queue for the shower. There's only 4 showers open. The first week I was a bit shy. I will be among the first to wake up early in the morning to shower because I'm so shy.
Mm.
You know, you brought out a Muslim boy, and then suddenly you go there, everybody's naked and like nothing. They're just okay. They have to adjust myself. So after a week, I got used to it. I forced myself because you want to be accepted, you have to adapt. Okay, and the Canadians. I mean, Ashbury College is a private school. Used to be a military school, but they made it private school, no more military. The people who went to the school are from all over the world. So people are very friendly. I have never experienced any prejudice or racism in the school. We have people from all over the world. It was the first time I come across a Jew. It was the first time I come across, besides English or Italian, other races, Russian and Japanese, Korean, Taiwanese, even Arabs, all kinds of people, Brazilian, Argentinian. So I learn a lot from them, and they learn a lot from me, I assume. And weekends, you have a break, you go out together, you mix with them, you learn each other's culture and pick up a little language, their language, their culture. Second thing that interests me, or shall I say, I will never forget, the French culture, because Canada is unique. It's a bit French and a bit of English. If you meet a girl in Canada, whether you know them very well or not, you give them a kiss on the cheek. It's their custom. So that was a shock to me because I know you have to kiss somebody on the cheek, which they did it to me, so I just ikut lah.
Like, okay,
yeah, innocent. I thought the girl likes me. the first time around.
Oh my lord!
But then I find no, everybody does it. Boy and girl does it. So I asked my roommate because they're both Canadian, and I said, well, "Is that normal?" He said, "Yeah, it's normal. We do that." And one of my roommate, the parents work in Saudi Arabia for the airline. He's an engineer for the airline. So he told me, we understand Muslims don't do that. Only the men do it to each other and kiss on the cheek, but not between boy and girl. Says, don't worry. If the girl really likes you, they kiss you on the lips. So I was like, those two things were the thing that shocked me, that I got to learn. And nowadays, if I go back to Canada or wherever and I meet people, I adjust myself to that. But here, I mean, I had friends who come visit Malaysia for my friend's wedding or my wedding who are from there, and we still...
Hopefully they weren't trying to kiss people on the cheeks here.
Only with me
and
my wife, but not with the others. Yeah, that takes a bit of time to adjust.
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah. Then you moved to San Francisco. Then what informed that decision?
Well, I had a choice. After I finished high school in year 13, grade 13 in Ashbury College, I sat for my exam and I passed. I sat for my SAT. So either I stay in Canada and study, or I go to San Francisco. But because my cousin was moving to San Francisco from Canada, so my uncle said, why don't you keep him company? At least it's 2 of us instead of him being lonely. So I went over It was a good choice because San Francisco is totally different from Ottawa. San Francisco was a city, a big cosmopolitan compared to Ottawa, 4 times the size, by the bay. A lot of Asians, 60% of the populations were Filipinos or Chinese. A lot of Hispanic. Very mixed. And beautiful city. A lot of movies were made in, and I meet a lot of people in the University of San Francisco. It's also a Jesuit school. I was telling you earlier before we started that I started in Jesuit school. I end up in Jesuit school. It's one of the best Jesuit university in the US. And I meet a lot of people, a lot of Asians, a lot of Europeans, a lot of Arabs studied there. And what's interesting is in theology class, I have to say this. In theology class, theology is a study about religion, all the various religions in the world. I did very well because Malaysia has so many religions.
Correct.
We have Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity of all types, Islam, right? But we don't have Judaism. But in San Francisco, some of my friends were Jews. And in theology classes, even in Canada, in Ashbury, my friends were Jews. I had to learn about Judaism. And I realized, very similar to Islam. And of course, it was interesting. But the thing I remembered most about my professor is that I brought up the subject that, because he likes to bring up the Holocaust. I hope you don't mind me touching this a bit.
Please.
So I said, Holocaust, 6 million Jews. I think it was 6 or 3 million Jews that was killed.
Correct.
Right? I said, Professor, they were also Muslims. Then he said, no, they were all Jews. I said, no. My grandfather, well, not really my grandfather, but my cousin's grandfather, because they are Polish, half Malaysian. So his grandfather was a lieutenant in the Cossack, which is the cavalry army of the Polish army, at that time. During the war, they used horses to charge the tanks, or the German tanks. So he got arrested. He was a Muslim. And I said there were Muslims in Poland at the time, and there were Muslims in other part of Europe who was also in the concentration camps. And I believe some of them were killed, and not all of them. And that argument with him, because he says there were no Muslims in Europe, stick to my head till today. Because now I prove him right, because in YouTube, you see all these countries in Eastern Europe coming out and showing big population, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Albania, all these places. So I'm happy that this YouTube are showing that
there were actually
more than one people that was, aside from the Jews, there were Muslims who were Europeans living in Europe at that time. And not just the Jews that were victimized, even the Muslims were victimized. So I better stop there. It's never going to end. So
it sounds like you really enjoyed your time there, like in Ottawa, but in San Francisco.
Well, you have to understand that where I come from, everything was new. I was like a sponge. I absorb everything.
Correct.
Okay, the good and the bad, of course. But the good one stays with me longer. The bad one, let's not talk about that. But I learned to appreciate what I've experienced. And I remembered a friend of mine introduced me to his parents. His parents told him, don't rush through university. Take your time. If you can study someone, do your masters and stuff like that. No, enjoy life. Because the best part of life is your student life while you're in university. Enjoy it. Because when you go to work in the real world, that's the real world. That's where all the stress, the pressure, the problems comes in. And the responsibility is heavier. So, coming back to what you just said, that's why I miss those days, because it was my happy time, my happy moment. I'm not saying I'm not happy now, but those were less stressful.
Indeed.
The burden was just study, do well, socialize, pick up as much sports and activities that you can do, enjoy it.
Right.
Now
Now
I have
a
all those sweet
multitude
memories.
of So
Yeah.
then, what made you decide to come back? Right, you graduate, then why not just stay there?
Well, I would say Sarawak is always home to me. I've always feel a sense of responsibility. Um, Now, I'll share this with you. I mean, I'm the first to graduate in my family. My late father only did his O level, which is Form 5. And then he joined the police force. It was always his and my ambition also to, he could have gone studied, but he had so many children already by then. I have 5 siblings in my family. So he never went to further his studies. So I felt the responsibility that I must come back. First, to make him proud. Second, to make a difference in my society and help Sarawak better. Because I have so many teachers or example. Tun Tayat studied in Australia, he came back to help Sarawak grow. Tok Nan did. Even Abang Joe, our premier currently, also went overseas to England and studied, come back. George Chan, Tan Sri George Chan, Tan Sri Jabu, all went overseas and come back. One, to share their experience. Second, to develop the state. And to lead the state and groom it, and groom the young, lead the young to become better. We don't want to be a backward nation or a backward state. We want to be a developed state. But it all takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. Like you have a magic wand and just wing it. So I felt that I can play a small part in that. Come back, serve, work, build my network, and take it from there. The rest is up to fate.
To fate indeed. And fate saw you now actually in the banking sector. And I think that's what I want to touch on, right? Now, you spent over a decade at Bank Utama, right? You rose from a management trainee to senior vice president and head of retail banking. And then following the merger with RHB, you became the executive president and regional head for East Malaysia and Brunei. Again, like a lot of movement. Again, like as you said. Did all this movement teach you a number of things about Sarawak's economy?
Yeah, it did. I mean, I was exposed. We went through how many recessions? 2, 3 recessions. So I was part of. At my age, I was part of it. I've seen it. Yeah, I came back. I started off with Sarawak Securities first before Bank Utama for a short stint, about 9 months. As an intern, because before I graduate, I need to do some internships, which I did that. Then after that, I went back to study in San Francisco, get my degree, and I come back. Then I work into Bank Utama as a management trainee. That part not many people know, but those who worked with me before knows that. Then I worked for about 16 years in the bank. We went through a merger. Bank Utama shareholder CMS bought over RHB shares. That merger was okay. Then the shareholders sold the shares again to EPF, I believe. So that second merger or third merger, there was a lot of restructuring. So some of us were caught in the middle. Because you have previous management from RHB Bank, the original. When you merge with Bank Utama have one management. So we have 2. So when we took over RHB, so majority of us, the management stays, some the RHB stayed, some were given golden handshake. Then second merger, the shareholding merger. Then when the CMS group sold off their share, or the Utama Banking Group sold off their shares, the previous management who were from the Utama were identified to give way to the new team. So that is one reason why I left. One reason. But I left also because I figured that I have been there long enough, 16 years. I went through retail banking, regional East Malaysia and Brunei, strategic planning, and I've been involved in all the committees, loan processing. I have met so many clients of different, holding different portfolio, from small business to individual sole proprietor to big corporates, international and non-international. And I've seen what they can do, what they have done, and I feel that it's time for me to try that. So come out, try something different, maybe different discipline. So that's why I took the golden handshake. Of course, people thought I was crazy because the comfort zone was there.
Correct.
I know. I mean, the benefit, the health benefit, like I said, was much better, and the pay was good. But I think it's time to move on. So I moved on.
Yeah, that sounds like a really calm, a very mature response to a situation that, I don't know, might be uncomfortable for some, especially like it's a senior executive level position. At the time, though, like what were you thinking? Is that how you were processing this? Were those your thoughts at that time?
Well, there were certain details that I'm not going to mention. That that I decided that enough is enough, because I've seen some people, let's put it this way, had to live in a not so nice manner. And I think that if I was going to be put in that position consistently, I better just pack and go. So I think I made the right decision because I turned out okay. So yes, I lose some, for a short period there, you have to struggle, because when you're going into business, it's not the same as every month you collect paycheck. When you go into business, you better make it successful to make sure you get the rip of the benefits of whatever you invested in. So I think I did okay. I wasn't the only one who left. There were quite a number of us who left, and everybody's doing different field. But I do miss it, yes. Yeah.
But then now, when we look at how you then transitioned, right, from structuring credit committees and asset liability frameworks to then now municipal councils and community organizations.
Yes.
That is a sharp contrast. And was that jarring when you...
It's very far, very different, totally different animal. When you are processing loan, as long as you get all the documents in place, you put it into the software and the formula it pass, then you just approve the loan. It's quite fast. But in banking, one thing you have to know is not purely based on that. Also, it's also relationship and trust. You look at the person, the customer, the track record, and the market intelligence. Then you know if they're good, they're acceptable risk, and you trust them. You process the loan and you give them the loan. Customers come to you to ask you for loans. But when you move into the public sector, council, like you mentioned, I went to Padawan Municipal Council as deputy chairman with my good friend, Dato Ahmad Ibrahim. It's different. We have to go to the customer. Our customers are the citizens, the rakyat, the local dwellers who owns residents and businesses all around MPP. And you have to listen to them to solve whatever problems they bring up to you. Those problems can be all things: drainage blocking, drain that's blocked, market that's very dirty, needs to be cleaned, public toilet that's broken or need fixing, grass cutting, loan shark banners up illegally need to be removed. Stray dogs, or shall I say stray animals, a problem. Health, dengue, all things like that. All a problem that the council directly have to handle. And it was difficult. It was more work, little things that add up is very taxing compared to banking. Yeah. But it was a good ground to build what I am today, because we understand what the problem is on the ground. Because the council is the first frontier to the people, solving their problem immediately as it comes. Because what I'm trying to say is, now I'm no more in the council. As a senator, I have to ask the council to assist me to solve problems that the rakyat bring up to me, or my people from the political party or my branch bring up to me, because I don't have the authority to solve it. So I will call Councillor Tangkai, the chairman, or Councillor Mahmud, hey, please, drain blockage is causing flood. Flood season is coming, please make sure the drainage are clear. There's a public complaint about stray dogs. I have to bring it up to them. They solve it. Last time, I get to solve it. Now I get requests. Please help me solve this. Yeah. So
a different kind of
different
animal.
level. Yeah.
Different level. Yeah. Then you also then became a life member of Sabakas. I think we talked about the Sarawak United National Youth Organization.
Yes.
And you've been a member since 2006.
Yes, that's right.
And you're currently the internal auditor of Sabakas Sarawak.
Yeah.
So it's clear to me that, say, youth development is something that maybe you're committed to, right? When you look at that, then what would you say is the most important thing that Sarawak maybe needs to do for the young people right now?
Well, we have to make sure that there is job opportunity, and we have to make sure that they have enough training, skill training, or enough university to facilitate, to qualify them to get the job that we are going to introduce. For example, what our premier is focusing on, green energy, those kind of thing needs talent. We have new factories that's coming in, investment coming in. We need to get more engineers, architects, scientists. We want to bring pharmaceutical in companies to set up pharmaceutical company. We need those specific job talents. So we need to get the university prepared for it, or the colleges, or to bring in expertise to come in and set it up, to train our young and our youth to be ready for the job that's coming. Because we have a lot of infrastructure projects that's ongoing. I mean, I'm sure you know about it, the bridges, the roads, a new airport, new development. So we need a lot of this good local talent, engineers, architects. And you cannot have the youth not taken for granted, meaning not focus on them, to be able to ready them for that job, ready them for the life coming ahead. Because I see a lot of problem that universities are churning a lot of people for qualification that they have no job out there for them.
Correct.
So that is a problem that needs to be adjusted by the Ministry of Education, federal. But now state took it out and we try to manage it. That's why we are a bit more focused. I mean, how many no offense to the listener, how many mass communication graduates do you need? How many HR graduates do you need? I think at one time, yes, to serve a purpose, but we need to be focused. If you're going to have more hospital built, we need more doctors. We need technical support to support that industries related to medicine, pharmaceutical, scientists, aerodynamics. We need engineers for moving that direction. We need to get them ready for that purpose. We have more bridges, more roads, more buildings to build. We need more engineers, more architects, more interior design, maybe something like that. So we need to get the youth ready for job that we're going to place or ready for them to come in. So that the job and the graduate or the youth need to fit into that job. We do not make them. There's no job. My qualification doesn't fit me into the right portfolio, the right task, which is happening. So I think we need to focus on the youth, especially Sarawak youth, because I'm a Sarawakian. Yes, people can call me biased. It's okay with me. I don't mind. I mean, in Dewan Negara, I'm sure some people are not too happy because they'll again.
He's talking about Sarawak again.
Again.
Yeah.
So, but hey, so what? I need to do it. We need to focus on our people. Yeah.
So it sounds to me as though you're saying that the opportunities are there; they're being created, but then
we need
as far as the education is,
yes.
So a stronger
The technical
focus.
know-how, the education, the degree, the qualification, all have to jive in. Yeah.
So then, more focus on STEM. Is this what?
Yes, STEM is one of it. Yes, but we also need psychologists. I forgot to mention that psychologists out there. We need more psychologists because modern era of the youth nowadays, compared to my generation, we handle pressure quite well. I have 4 children, and they would tell me, stress, and I'm telling them, you call that stress? So we need psychologists to manage the stress and tell them how to better manage themselves. And
I wonder though, especially looking at this as psychology. I think we certainly come to a point where we're more aware of, especially in discussions, right? Mental health is quite the topic.
Yep, that's right.
But for someone then who studies psychology, right, and you say, okay, we need more, but then where would the opportunities be?
Oh, I mean, you're talking about the psychologists?
Specifically.
Private or public. I mean, universities need them because a lot of students also need to have consultation with psychologists because of pressure from school or pressure from family or pressure from relationship. Job, HR should hire psychologists or HR should send them to psychologists for job-related stress.
Can that become a policy, like mandate HR to have psychologists?
You know that, I'm sure you know, sorry, I rephrased that. In Western country, they have psychologists in police department, they have psychologists in fire department, they have psychologists in teachers in schools and stuff like that. We don't.
Really?
We don't have psychologists in the police. We don't have psychologists in the army. They go outside for psychology. And most people are so ashamed or shy away from seeing psychologists because there's a stigma. There's something wrong with you. I don't think there's something wrong with you. You need help, say it. If Western country can do that, I think the good things that we learn from the Western country is they thought of all this, and we should try to follow take the good things. There are a lot of good things we can learn from them. Just imagine in Japan, in Taiwan, and a lot of people commit suicide, young people. Stress. I'm sure they have a lot of psychologists, but maybe the stigma is they don't want to see a psychologist because the stigma is you gila, crazy. Right. But it is not. You need help to distress, to move on, to get better, to help another person, to improve on your social skills. That's my feeling. I don't know whether other people agree with me, but that's my feeling. When I have problem, I go talk to my friends, talk to my wife. My late father, I always come to see him. He says, "You don't see me anymore. You go talk to your mother."
Oh yeah,
she's a good listener. My father is hot-tempered, so anyways.
I think it's refreshing to hear that because there's always this fight between generations, and
Yes.
right, sometimes
The
it
young and the
feels
old don't talk, yeah.
and to someone, especially in as a senator, right, at your level, to advocate for, say, psychologists in this case, right, to cater to people's mental health, there's probably something that maybe does need more discussion. And
It does. Because I notice a lot of parents, this is a lot of parents and the children, they don't talk. They can't. I'm not sure what is the real issue. So they need a third person to be able to talk, which is a psychologist or a consultant. I mean, it depends. Some people don't like you don't like the word psychologist. Okay, don't call yourself psychologist. Call yourself consultant who consult between the two.
right on.
Then people feel comfortable with that idea. Why not? You know?
Right on.
Before it builds up too much inside you, it just explode. And it can go either way, which is quite sad.
And then tragedy, and
Yeah,
then now we're
tragedy, yeah.
dealing with the consequences as
Yeah,
opposed to just treating it at the root.
Yeah.
Then let's move on to the Senate. All right, and maybe what your role actually is and what happens in the Senate, right? So you were elected to the Senate by the State Legislative Assembly.
Right.
How does being elected by the Dun actually shape, say, your mandate? Right?
I have a heavy responsibility
Hmm.
being selected among many to be nominated and elected inside the Dun or by the Dun to represent Sarawak in the Senate. My task, number one, is to protect Sarawak interests and to highlight our Sarawak interests, defend it at all costs. I did not know what I was getting into, but I learned. So I had to learn a lot of things, how the parliamentary system works, especially the Senate, and what I can say and cannot say. It is not as simple as Dewan Rakyat, where you just, no offense to those guys in Dewan Rakyat, just talk about anything and shout and scream and all the drama. Dewan Nagara is totally a different animal. Everybody talk facts. Everybody talk facts in detail. And there is no shouting, no screaming. You bring out your case, you prove your case, then you vote intelligently. There's no drama. And in the parliament, in the lower house, which is Dewan Rakyat, you have people who are purely elected political representative. In the Senate, they're not all political representatives. Only the state government, each state government, 2 appointees. I mean, you appointees from the Dun. So 13 state, 3 federal territory, 1 each, will send their people, while the rest of the senators are appointed by Agong and PM. PM nominate them, and Tuanku Agong will approve, are from different background. You have people from ex-civil servant, ex-general, ex-politician, senior politician, people of special needs, representing the special needs, minority groups, orang asli, orang Siam, you name it. You have people from the artistic association, artists, may they be singer veterans or what in the association represented there. You have academician, people from the professor or from different universities, different background, different qualification, senior lawyers or former judge, doctors, actual medical doctors in there. The reason I believe they structured in a way that Senate is supposed to be the house where you actually think for the best for the nation, not purely based on politics. So when there's any law that needs to be amended or introduced, it must go through the full circle of everybody from different walks of life, must have a say in it and vote it, or give comment where it needs to be adjusted or not. So we are there to make sure to protect the federal constitution, make sure it doesn't divert too far, in in the wrong way, and too what do you call, too extreme, too religious, too racial. All that have to be kept intact, in check and in control. So it's good. I mean, I learned a lot, and I learned a lot from everybody in there, different background. And in the Senate, it is best to build your network, because some of these people are pure genius in their field, and they can really advise you or guide you to the thing that you need to do. That's all I can say. I'm not going to say it.
I certainly get that. I think that we got that feeling when talking to Senator Robert.
Robert Lau.
Yeah, it's indeed. I think
he's a lawyer.
There we go.
He's an expert in MA63.
Correct. Right? And yes, the level of detail, the granularity that he would have on these matters is quite evident.
Yeah.
Right. So then looking at, say, your specialization, say in the Senate, right? You've been consistently one of the more specific voices on Sarawak's resource rights. You've also debated the government procurement bill, the RMK 13, right? And the constitutional supremacy of MA63 over the PDA. But I think one of the criticisms that the Senate has received is that it acts more as a rubber stamp, right? That it actually doesn't move the needle on some issues, and that maybe the real work actually happens elsewhere in the lower house. What would you say to that?
I tend to differ, because we have, during my time, we have deferred 2 bills back to Dewan Rakyat. We cannot reject a bill. The Senate has no authority to reject a law that's being passed from Dewan Rakyat, which is the lower house. But we can push it back down. That's so-called, like, either you amend this bill according to what we have suggested in the Senate, because it contradicts the principle of Malaysia, then they have to debate it again. So if they cannot come to an agreement after the debate, the bill is cancelled. Or they, debate it and amended it, push it back up. We agree to it. It gets approved. Then the bill from the Senate will go to Tuan 2 PM at Agong for his final signature. We have done it twice, and I believe it will not be the last. So if people say we are a rubber stamp, no, we're not. I'm not sure about before my time, but I don't think we are a rubber stamp, because I believe the new generation, because previously politics was a bit different before 2018, where big majority were the same government, same political party. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that the system was different, different era. Nowadays, the people in government are from many different political parties and different background. And I think they will comment. They will say what needs to be said. They will do what's needed and not just keep quiet. So after 2018 onwards, we are not a rubber stamp.
All right.
Okay. But if the bill is super good, why not?
Why not? Then let it pass. Okay.
Right.
Let's move on to the numbers debate. Now, in your RMK 13 Senate debate in August of 2025, you pointed to a specific and a striking discrepancy, that Sarawak's projected growth rate under the 13th Malaysia Plan is 4.6% compared to Sabah's 5.8% and Peninsular Malaysia's 5 to about 5.2%. Now, for a state of Sarawak's nature that produces oil, gas, hydroelectricity, and is now leading on, say, in hydrogen, how does that number get justified?
A lot of factors, a lot of things that could have gone our way are not going our way. There's no one answer for this, but I'll put it in this way. You see, I'm going back in history. we discovered oil and gas in 1910 in Miri. Before 1963, all the gas is for Sarawak. Of course, we had a king that time, or the British after that. Then after that, for a couple of years, when we formed Malaysia, I think there was some kind of agreement because during that time we was doing kompetisi, so they needed a big budget for defense. So I think there was some. I mean, I'm not privy to that because those are the early days in the 60s and 70s. But since Malaysia was formed till recently, we only got 5% of royalty. Okay, that 5% is not enough. It should be anything coming out from Sarawak, the soil of Sarawak, should be for us. But we willing to share, but not 5% only given to us. If we were given, example, 50 or 60%, what is the growth rate? You tell me. But anyways, let it, history, let the future lies and see what happened. Let the negotiation proceed. Let's see what happened. Yeah, I mean, we got 5% sales tax. I mean, so, we got some additional fund. MS63 negotiation still ongoing. We wish for the best. Get our fingers crossed. But after saying that part, apologies for those people who are listening who don't like it earlier, but think about it. Federal government supposed to contribute to the development of every state. This development relate to possible potential growth. Yeah? For example, the Pan-Borneo Highway. Because it's supposed to be federal funded. The bridges are supposed to be federal funded. But Sarawak have to pay for it. Why? Because we want the development. We cannot wait for federal to pump it. They say there's not enough. They say there's not enough fund. They will say not a priority. Whatever issues are, okay, we accept. But we need that. We need bridges. We need roads, infrastructure, highway to improve so that economy, transportation can move faster. So that people can move and the land value go up and more transportation of goods to happen. For so long, a lot of the coastal people don't have access. Now they have access. And when they have access, agriculture can grow. Trade and transportation of goods to those locations will be faster. Just to share with you, not talking about the coast, but we're talking about Sarawak hinterland. A cost of, let's say, salt, sugar. Well, I mean, not protected items, but other food items, or materials for construction, things like that, are higher in Belaga, Long Lamai, than they are in Kuching, because to transport those materials or those produce or those goods up there takes a long time. Sometimes no roads. They either have to be flown in or by boat or halfway using road or timber roads, transportation. So things are higher. But if we build all the infrastructure and provide the roads, the bridges, then the cost can go down because it's easy access. Accessibility is there. And that is what we've been asking for all this while. We want fairness. We don't want special treatment. We want fairness. 60% of Malaysia is Sabah and Sarawak in landmass. Yeah, they always argue, your population is small. Hey, in the Malaysia agreement, when we formed Malaysia, you agreed to these terms to take care of us. That is the reason why we wanted to be part of Malaysia. So deliver your promise. We're not asking for anything special. What was promised? Deliver. Yeah, we want fair treatment. You take so much of our resources. We don't complain so much. For 60 years, I wouldn't say we kept quiet, but we tolerated it. I mean, if it wasn't for our forefathers, our leaders previously who had to find alternative means to get funding to do things that need to be done in the state, we will be in trouble a long time ago. But luckily, we had people leadership who were very intelligent, very smart, and conscious about the difficulties, and we need to funding or sponsors or support from other sources. I mean, we have to give respect to Tun Tai. We have to give respect to Tok Nan for what they have done. Abang Joe is doing a great job now. And I hope he continues. And all the leadership after him continues the good thing. Build the coffer, strengthen the state, make it strong. We are the envy of many states. They say we have so much reserve fund. Well, excuse me, we manage it well. Please look at yourself. I'm sorry to say that.
Speaking of state coffers, you then called for at least 30% of the 430 billion national development allocation under RMK 13 to go to Sarawak and Sabah. And that would be considered a specific and significant ask. Now, maybe you know what the current figure is and what's the federal government's response to this argument.
Okay. I think the biggest issue with this is that the allocation is always renegotiated every year. We would like to see, I can't speak on behalf of the government. I mean, I leave to my seniors too. But my personal opinion is, in the Dewan Negara, I have brought this up. I said, why don't we follow the Canada model or the Australian model, where they have a fixed formula to secure an allocation for a state, so that we don't have to renegotiate every year. Let's say every 5 years or 10 years, we look at it. Of course, times change, so you'll relook at it. But fix it. Follow the model. I think it's the Saskatchewan model in Canada, and in Australia, I can't recall which state. I got to refer to my notes. These two models are Commonwealth nations. It has worked because the richer state will support the lesser state, and there's a formula that is agreed by federal and the state. And I think it works up to a point that people are happy with it. The provincial people, the state people are happy with it. The state government are happy with it. Federal government are happy with it. The negotiation should be fixed, not renegotiate. What's going on now, I think they don't have a formula. Their formula is, I think this one enough for you. Or then when they give, we have to take back some, sorry, we need to use it for another purpose. That's what's going on. Then we say, no, you don't do that, you already agreed. Moving forward, pick a formula that is conducive and acceptable by both parties. Stop doing all this, what they've been doing all these years.
So then for you, then with the formula, then this is where you call for 30% for Sarawak and Sabah.
Yeah, well, it's a figure, but it's subject to negotiation. But because then I give too much of the cue. But you have to start at a figure, then you discuss it. But let's talk about it.
It's a negotiating tactic.
Yeah. I mean,
Now, you've also said that MA63 mechanisms like special grants and capitation grants under Article 112D must be legally entrenched, not left as political promises.
Could you repeat that again?
All right. Now, you've also said that MA63 mechanisms like special grants and capitation grants under something called Article 112D must be legally entrenched.
Yeah.
Now,
the grant, yeah.
What specifically are these changes that need to be, what changes need to be made to happen, and who has the power to make that happen?
Uh, if I'm not mistaken, because I need to recall, I believe this is related to a grant that was promised on the formation of Malaysia. There was a figure, I can't remember exactly the figure, that was agreed upon. And for many years, Federal conveniently forgotten about it. But recently, Anwar Ibrahim, he's a good PM. I mean, nobody's perfect. I mean, neither am I. We're not perfect. But he paid some of the grant that has been, let me recall, promised to, but not the full amount. We're still negotiating for what was not paid previously. I mean, we can negotiate and see how we can come to some form of agreement. Not me, but I believe my leaders, the leadership above, will talk to them further about it. But there was a figure that was agreed, and the amount I can't really recall. I mean, we agreed because, okay, the story is like this. On the formation of Malaysia, our local leaders, Tun Juga and a few others, were sent to KL, Kuala Lumpur at the time, to study how how Kuala Lumpur is. Look at the development in Kuala Lumpur compared to us. And I believe when we were there, they say, wow, Kuala Lumpur is so nice, so beautiful, parliament building, blah, 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 and infrastructure. And I think during that time, Tuku Abdul Rahman probably promised them, so if you join Malaysia, we agree to give you certain grant every year to bring up Sarawak and Sabah to at par to Semenanjung Malaysia. I think that was somewhere around there. And based on that agreement, that's what we are expecting. Because right now, Semenanjung is way advanced. Sabah and Sarawak catching up. Sarawak is catching up faster lah, but we were left behind for so long. So it's time to bring us to be at par. You know the joke about that, a lot of development, this is joke. Of course, I think that partly true. One of the Petronas Tower belongs to Sarawak. Because a lot of oil and gas came from us. So the development, super highway, north-south highway, east-west highway, train, KLIA, Sepang, hey, part of that expenses were from Sarawak. At least recognize our contribution. When you have a grant that was promised to us, fulfill it lah. Yeah, fulfill it. I mean, we can understand there are sentiments on both sides, but we only want fairness. We've been craving and crying and almost to the point of banging tables, but we don't because we believe, in proper negotiation, not hantam meja. But don't push us too far because eventually, maybe the older generation, okay, they're very cool-headed. Younger generation below me, I don't know. They can be very, very aggressive about their rights. So,
all right. Then let's move on to the future then. Let's look to the future. You've welcomed Sarawak's inclusion in the RMK13 for hydrogen energy, the Pan-Borneo Highway, petrochemical hubs, and the Special Tourism Investment Zone. Now, when we look at all of these, which do you believe will produce maybe the most tangible benefits for the ordinary people?
for ordinary people, not those with special skills. All those industries that were mentioned, all those things that's coming in, they're all good for different segments of the population with different qualification, different background, different technical skills. But I believe the best for most of the people, the normal people, would be tourism that comes in. Because when you have all these industries, all these modern, green energy, new telco, satellite going up in the sky, all this technology coming in, the common folks will benefit through the green tourism, in the sense that we are a country that's not polluted. Less pollution. I wouldn't say not polluted. Less pollution. We have a lot of our nature kept well. We have, aside from all these things that you have mentioned, we have uh, built more museum, renovated and upgraded a lot of museums. We have linked all the coastal town, and we're going to link all the interiors. And with all the roads and bridges that's going to be built, accessibility will be more available. We are building more airports. Building the biggest airport supposedly in Malaysia coming up. All this will benefit the locals who are living around that area, because land prices will go up. And transportation of goods from the farms will be more accessible to the ports. When the train are built, hopefully within the next 5-10 years, that will be another avenue to transportation, not only produce, but also oil and gas and other materials. The common folks who live around those areas will benefit in terms of land value, in terms of opportunities to set up some form of business or support industry or service industry to support whatever is going to be built around that area. For example, the airline. When you have an airline, you need people to supply catering. You need people to supply dry cleaning for the uniforms, for the seat cover. Then you need people to service the aircraft, clean the aircraft. You need people to work, the ground crew, the air crew. These things creating jobs for the people. And those people who, when we have the train, then the locals will be employed. When you have roads, highway need to be trimmed on the side. The drainage needs to be cleaned. They need to be painting on the roads, road signage, road signs. Then bridges need to be maintained. Lighting, street lighting needs to be changed.
It sounds like, to me, essentially, just all this development just leads to more opportunities, right? All the economic activity that comes with it just means the ordinary person is...
Correct. Because right now, let's say 10 years ago, the main economic activities were all in the major town. Kuching, Sibu, Miri, Bintulu, but not in the smaller town and not in the smaller towns. But with the connectivity, you go to Subuyao, you go to Simunjan, you go to Gedong, you go to Long Lama or Kapit, Mall Road, Access Kanawit. When you have good roads, then things start happening. You see, when you build just a road, eventually you need proper drainage. Eventually, you need nice trees to put shade on the tree to make it beautiful. You need lighting that comes up. Signage, road signage. This will employ people to cut grass along the side, to clean the drain. Of course, there are contractors. There will be contract, mostly JKR. Let's say the management of certain zone, certain kilometers of road is given to a certain company by JKR, for example. This company, they're not going to do everything. They will sub it for people to do certain things. Engineers not going to do grass cutting or cleaning the drain. They're not going to do that. So there will benefit the people who live around the area. They're not going to get somebody from Kuching to cut the grass in Kapit, for example.
Right.
So there is opportunity for the normal folks. Yeah. Engineers are engineers, architects are architects. Those are the professional line. But normal folks, tourism, tour guide, homestay, in all these small town, people will go. I would love to go to small town like Ulu Kapit or somewhere and stay in a homestay. I like to go fishing or just enjoy the waterfall, the nature. And this creates job and opportunity to the locals.
Hmm.
You know,
Well, I think you've answered that question quite extensively.
yeah, but it's all over the place. So
But no, I think
Yeah.
these are wonderful examples. It's quite thorough, actually.
Yeah.
On some of the other debates, right, you raised food security in the
Ah.
Senate, where you positioned Sarawak as Malaysia's potential rice bowl. But given that Sarawak has historically imported much of its rice, how realistic is that vision, and what would need to change to make that a reality?
Honestly speaking, Sarawak has a lot of potential because we have a big land area. But federal and state government really need to work together, federal especially, to push or to favor Sarawak as a destination for the rice, what do you call it? Rice paddy belt, what do you call it? The big area to do paddy, so that we become self-sufficient in rice. But there is an argument right now because the rice producing states like Kedah and stuff, traditionally been known for that. So sometimes it's political. Whoever is the minister, they say, hey, let's not do paddy too much. Let's focus paddy on this side because the traditionalists wants it there because to capture, to maintain sustain the historical reason. But I think we have to go beyond that sentiment and focus on the real actual need of food security. So if you want real food security, you have to look beyond that. Sarawak has the land. Talk to the state government seriously. Look, we need few 100,000 hectares to do rice paddy fields. Modernize, mechanize. We either the federal government fund it or we get foreign investors to come in. Focus on it. Because right now, we import quite a lot of rice from Thailand, from other nations, Vietnam, where we could be self-sufficient. I brought it up during one of the Dewan Negara question and answer session, and I said that if we don't become self-sufficient and we rely, if like COVID, when the supply chain is closed, you cannot import the rice, the rice over. Then we will deplete what's available. Then people will say there's not enough food for everybody, rice for everybody. There's a problem.
Right.
So why don't we become self-sufficient with rice, I said. And meat. We import a lot of pork, beef, lamb from outside. We import a lot of milk also outside. Maybe not so much the milk, but paddy, rice is the staple food of Asian. We all take it. Meat, we don't have enough. People say it's not easy trying to, rear cattle and lamb. Well, find a way. Find the technology that works for our weather, our soil, our condition. I don't know, But importing food item, to me personally, is not really a good thing because we are relying too much on import. We should be self-sufficient on food. In case, I don't like to say the word war, but in case of
Conflict.
Time where we cannot import those things or those people cannot export it to us because of whatever reason. The reason could be war, could be medical reason, quarantine, or political friction between nations. So we need to be self-sufficient on food. Rice, number one. Meat, maybe second. Vegetable, we can go to the hutan. There's plenty of pakuk,
plenty.
and I know you tried pakuk
Oh, of
before.
course.
Yeah. So, but these two things.
It would, like, with what you've highlighted, it would seem like it should be easy, right? The land is there. The soil is pretty fertile, right?
But we must get the best technology, because there are certain issues with certain type of paddy, the breed. So we need to be careful, make sure they can handle our weather. Yeah, that's one. And can handle our insects. Our soil is a bit different. So there are good ones out there. But sometimes there are people who favor one type but not this type. So that's where sometimes I think the agriculture department has some issues with the locals. Locals as in local management.
Well, that sounds like an interesting
It's a
conversation
bit too
to
technical,
have.
but we need to be careful with the seedlings, the paddy seedlings. I think you call it seedlings. I'm not an expert in that. But
We'll have to defer to the agricultural
Yeah.
board for that one. Then maybe on the final thing, as far as the future is concerned, you also raised youth vulnerability to illegal gambling, digital addiction, and insecure gig work as emerging threats. And I think that is quite striking, because that's really different from a very different conversation from oil royalties and highway projects. And I wonder, like, in your estimation, where does that rank in terms of Sarawak's, say, priorities? I mean, especially in terms of development. For sure, it should be more of a conversation, but I don't think I ever hear people talking about this.
You're talking about the social issues.
Correct.
Well, social issues, like it or not, in a developing country or developed countries will exist. We cannot escape, especially with the new technology, with media now available, internet of things, cyber gambling. We can only do certain control, enforcement, restriction on the internet somehow. Because the problem is, I think in Australia already said that 16 years old, you cannot have
a social media
account.
Correct.
Malaysia could consider it if they want to. I believe parents need to play a major role, not just government. Because I think some parents, both parents are working, husband and wife are working. They don't have time to engage themselves to monitor and spend time with the children so much. They send them to school, send them to daycare, and outside school activities, but they don't monitor them. Like my generation, my father worked, my mom did. So my mom was always around. But this generation now is husband and wife working. So I think parents need to play a role to make sure the children do not go into these vices or do not get influenced by this, this thing, or be aware of scammers. Government can do so much. We can do what Australia does at 16, no social media. But I believe there will be something else that will come up later on. Somebody is going to use somebody else's name and register, and which I think people are already thinking about it. I get a friend or get a homeless person say, "Hey, bro, I see you register this for me, but I'm the one managing it." And there's so many homeless people in now. Australia is on the street, Melbourne. You see a few, but US is the worst right now.
Well, it's San Francisco, especially.
San Francisco, especially. So you give them $10-$20. I just borrow, register. If they implement the law, 16 and below cannot have a social media account. They'll set up the media account, and the minor can use it. minors are not stupid nowadays. 16-year-old, very intelligent. I mean, I remember when I was 16, we were very creative.
Correct. It could be argued they probably know the technology better than
Better
the
than parents, yes, yes,
Right.
yes. I know my kids are better than me. Yeah. Awareness is important. I think dissemination of information that is critical to protect a person, a family member, or individual, whatever, should be out there and shared so that we do not get scammed, our children do not get, what do you call this, tricked by adults who are trying to manipulate them. I'm referring to pedophilia and things like that.
It's actually wonderful though to see that you also have a focus like on that. I think social issues sometimes are a bit relegated as far as development is concerned, right? It's really easy to speak of the oil and things at that level, but wonderful.
Well, because of my children, I guess I tend to be concerned, but I mean, now they're adults already. I'm okay with that, but I do have young nephew and nieces, and I always tell them, do you monitor what your kids are watching? Is your YouTube at home has adult supervision? They say no. I say, what happened if you go out and stuff? I trust them. And I'm thinking, yeah, you trust them. You trust your mate? But anyways, that's another story.
Then yes, let's move on to say PBB and the political landscape a little bit. Right, we'll touch on this a little bit. So you've been a PBB member since 1996.
Yeah, member. Yeah,
you've served as branch chairman for PBB Batukawa since 2009.
Correct.
PBB is the dominant party within GPS and within Sarawak politics more broadly. Now, for you, from inside that structure, how does PBB stay connected to what ordinary Sarawakians need?
We stay connected to the grassroots because we have 82 branches, 82 dunes. So PBB branches all in every single dune. Not all of us are YB because some of them are SUPP, PIS, or PDP, but PBB branches are there. So how do we stay close to the ground? These branch leaders or whoever want to become branch leaders have to interact, do programs, and interact with the local members as much as possible. Of course, a lot of them are very busy, but you make your time. You must at least, for my case, I would say you must organize Hari Raya once a year, Buka Puasa. You must organize if you have a lot of Christians in your branch, because you have sub-branch, ranting, the sub-branch. You may have, let's say you have 20 branches, 8 of them are Christian and the others are Muslim. You must be fair to them too. So you have to organize a Christmas gathering or year-end gathering, you like to call it that, or Gawai gathering, open house, so that everybody gets to interact. You need to organize events, games, and stuff like that, like bowling. Like for us in Batukawa, bowling center, we have the best. So futsal for the youth, for the young, or get them involved into cycling or marathon or rafting competition, futsal, organize it. Then get involved with the grassroots. I would go a bit further. If you live within that community, whoever that person, that leader is, to get close to your grassroots, once a week, if you're around in town, do a breakfast. Of course, in your case, you probably do happy hour, but...
Oh, no, I love breakfast.
So what they do, have breakfast with them. Like one Sunday, one Saturday, call different people from sub-branches, call them. Just talk about anything, have a nice breakfast. People will talk. They will tell you things. Or they forgot that you're there, they start talking about themselves, about something that you pick up. Yeah, So that is getting close to the ground too, because you hear things, you solve the problem if there is a problem. It's To me, it works. That's how we keep the unity together among for PBBKs, get them close. And the thing about PBB, which is a bit different from, I'm not sure, I wouldn't mention which party to be fair, but we have election every 3 years. So the sub branch, which is the ranting, we call them, they have election among all the members in, let's say, one taman, one kampong, one community. Then the others also have. So you have 20, all 20 will have their election to pick who are the leader for that sub branch, the ranting, and who are going to be the committee members. They have election. After the election, then they have the branch election. That's when I've been in the branch. So they will elect me. They will elect me, then the committee members to support me in the branch. My principle is I always tell them, because I have to be a member of one of the sub branch. But in the sub branch, I will tell them I don't have to hold any position, because let somebody else have the chance to be in some form of community. Because if I hold too many posts, not good. So that's how I can last since 2009. And every 3 years we have election. And of course, some level, there will be some changes. Some maybe because of age, because of being transferred, because some of them are working, they're transferred elsewhere. Some of them voluntarily because they want to retire, health reason, whatever, or they move to another housing area or whatever. Or they lost because they're not doing their part. That committee do not want them. So you will always have some changes, but leadership seldom change unless you're not good. So then when it's from the branch, you have election at the state level. So the state level, all 82 branches will come and they will vote who is going to be at the state level. Of course, top leadership seldom change, but the Supreme Council member, the EXCO, those people are elected. Sometimes the vice presidents are elected. They have to compete, try to win votes, campaign, and there are changes. There are changes in the Supreme Council, there are changes in the vice presidency. While the others mostly a status quo. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Then GPS has governed Sarawak with overwhelming majority for years, and the accountability debate that's been raging has been pretty loud recently. Now, from your experience in both local government and the Senate, what does genuine accountability look like from inside a dominant coalition?
Responsibility. Well, you need to win the trust of the people. So I would say that you are responsible to do the right thing and to maintain the trust of the rakyat to the best of your capability. But there are times that you need to be careful, because not necessarily all the things that is asked of you is necessarily good. So you have to have a good balance. And it's not an easy task to have a good balance. Being responsible does not necessarily mean being popular either. I've seen leaders come and go, and I've seen leaders that was not popular, but he did the right thing. And I've seen leaders who become popular, but did not do the right thing. Because he wanted to be popular, but it's not the right thing to do. So being responsible is subjective. It's hard for me to fine-tune it. But honesty, win the trust, focus, stay honest to yourself, take care of the people, and stay away from racial politics, stay away from religious politics. Always talk bring people together in harmony. Try to get people to get to know each other, get together. I think the biggest problem with some leadership, I'm not talking about Sarawak here, but then you can get the idea, is that they spend a lot of time focusing on the differences instead of the similarities between races, between religion, to a point that it becomes very toxic.
Correct.
And very bitter, and trust is gone. That's playing favoritism towards your own kind. But it's not the right thing. Coming back to what I said earlier. The right thing is, you should not do that. You should stay away from racial politics, stay away from religious politics, and try to get people to mix. Be in harmony. Understand one another. The more people interact, the more they learn to understand one another, the less friction they will have. And that is being responsible. And that is a responsible leader should be. And the Rakyat should follow those kind of people, those kind of political party that has that kind of view, objective. They can go further. Because Sarawak especially, we're very unique. We have 30% Muslim population, 70%, then maybe 40-50% Christian population. The rest is different religion. We all get along. We may have one or two, loose cannon here and there, but yeah, every family got one black sheep, they say, right? So generally, majority of the time, we all get along very well. You visit everybody's festival, Gawai, Christmas, Raya, except for Deepavali, which I know our friends are going to get offended there. But all the festivals are celebrated together. You have a church wedding, I will attend. You have a Muslim wedding, my friends will come and visit and join and celebrate. Sarawak is a place where you can go to a coffee shop and you be having your bak kut teh. I don't know whether you know what bak kut teh.
I love bak kut
teh. Okay. You have your bak kut teh and I'll have my kway teow. We're sitting together. We order from the same coffee shop, the serve drinks. And we're not going to say, hey, haram, I cannot sit with you.
Indeed.
As long as I'm not eating your food and I'm not drinking from your cup while you're drinking, I'm fine. I don't use your cutlery. So I'm okay. So we in Sarawak are different. We like to maintain that. That is responsible government. That's a responsible party. That's a responsible citizen. World citizen.
Indeed. And I think that's one of the hallmarks of Sarawak, right? That it certainly has it's a wonderful model of unity. You see all these different groups being able to sit in spite of their religious differences or their different cultures. But I guess, right, on the note of Deepavali, maybe just to satisfy a friend, right, and people who genuinely would be curious, like, why isn't Deepavali a holiday in Sarawak?
Well, short answer, humor me, produce more, multiply. Well, I guess it is something that will happen in the future. But right now, the community is maybe to some leadership, I'm not naming anybody, it's a small number, let's say. But I believe when you have Deepavali, the management or the company or the government allow them to take off. Am I correct? Yes. It's considered an off day. They can be off from work for the Deepavali because it's their religious obligation. But it's not a government holiday. It's not a public holiday. But eventually, maybe one day, when there's so many Morgan, Gordon, sorry, Morgan is another friend of mine, also Indian. But when there's so many of them, then yes, it will be. But it's not prejudice or anything. It's just that, it's something that we already have so many holidays. Sarawak I think in Malaysia, we're probably the state that has the most holiday because we have Gawai. We have Taipuzam, we have Christmas, Korban, Raya, Adil Fitri, apa lagi? I think in Semenanjung, they do not have Gawai. They don't celebrate Gawai.
Well, I suppose then the argument there would be, right, that there's been an Indian population here for so long.
We even celebrate Good Friday. So
Hmm.
I think some of our holidays that we celebrate are not celebrated in Semenanjung.
Correct.
Yeah. So that is one of the reasons, but it's not the real reason. I'm not sure. Maybe you can ask Dato' Lo about that.
But it's just a matter of time then, in your estimation.
I think it's a matter of time. Yeah.
Wonderful. Then let's move on to fun things. Right.
All right.
Motorsport. All right. You are the president of the Sarawak Motorsports Association, now in your second term since 2021.
All right.
That's a really specific passion for a senator and a former banker. Where did that come from? How did that even start?
Well, motorsport is... I've always liked fast car. Yeah, fast car. Of course, everybody loves Ferraris, Lamborghini, and that. I mean, I read the magazine when I was a student. I mean, trust me, when I was a kampong boy from Kanawit, Kuching, you don't see those cars. But we went to London, you saw Rolls Royce, so Bentley. You went to Ottawa, you see Ferrari, Porsche, So I always love fast cars. So motorsports. Then you learn about F1, MotoGP. I'm always curious, and I buy the magazines. I read them up. What's the latest modification on this car? Latest engine, latest upgrade. But of course, I can't afford it in the early days because you're a student. Then when you start working also, you can't afford to buy Ferrari. But I always like motorsports. And I always observe them online, watch them on TV and stuff. In 2010, Dato Karim was the patron. Before that, Dato Karim was the patron of SASA. SASA is Sarawak Automobile Racing Sports Association. He was the chief podsec at the time, was a minister. So he says he retired from being the patron because he has other commitment. He was very busy. So Tan Sri William Mawan was at that time was the minister in charge of sports. Were very close to the SASA members because the president of SASA at that time was his good friend, his people. So he says, talk to Dato Ahmad. He likes cars, So they came to me and I said, really? I didn't even know about SASA until SASA came to see me. Yeah, I've always loved it. I watched F1 and stuff like that. I didn't know. I said, yeah, okay. I said, I don't mind being your patron. What do I have to do? Oh, just, give speeches and attend the function. And when we have races, be there. Okay. The technical stuff you guys do, right? Because, I don't know. They say, yeah. Okay. So I said, I don't mind. So that's when I started going into SASA, getting involved. They have 4 to 5 Capri races a year. Capri is a small CC motorbike in Sarawak. They have a few drift events, drag, motocross event, and I got more involved in the community. Then they were part of MAM. They were part of Automobile Association Malaysia at that time, which is all deregistered already. SASA also deregistered already. So I think I was with SASA for about 3 years. Then I said, okay, enough. You're going to have your AGM. Please find somebody else because I also was getting busy at that time. It's also around the time my father passed away, 2012. So 2010, 2012, my father passed away. So 2013, AGM, I say, please find somebody. A friend of mine became a patron because they need to fund some of the events, the funding. So I took a break from motorsport. 2013 onwards. I only got back in 4 or 5 years ago. When SASA deregistered, because during COVID, I think they did not submit there was no activity, so they did not submit their reporting, their annual report to uh, Pesuruhanjaya Sukan. So they were deregistered. So then we set up, somebody came to me and asked me, we need to activate this because people are racing illegally because there's no proper avenue and nobody's managing it. So we set it up and they said, this time, can you be the president? That's when I became the president of Sarawak Motorsport Association today and affiliated to MAM, Motorsport Association Malaysia. Tan Sri Mozani Mahathir is the president, current president. So I am here. I've been involved. I carry on to be involved, trying to keep people from racing illegally, trying to convince them to do the right thing by getting them to get the racing license, get them to train properly, get them to follow the safety procedure, get them to organize proper racing event which is sanctioned and insured by through us, I would say it's more proper to say through us, and regulated. Because my biggest concern is that I'm worried about public safety.
Indeed. Oh, it's certainly a hazard.
Because when they race on the street, on the road, there are other drivers on the road and pedestrians alongside. And when they are racing and there's no safety net, it's not regulated, not sanctioned, it's illegal racing, mistakes happen. Touch on wood, nobody wants to have mistake, but it happens. A new driver with a P see a fast car braking right in front of you, what are they going to do? They're going to panic. And they will slam brakes and somebody behind will hit them or go to the side. And go to the side, you might hit a pedestrian. Whether it's a car or a motorbike, it can happen. So that is the reason why I've seen it with my own eyes, and I get scared and I get so worried about it that's also a heavy reason why I am in motorsport. Because I want to regulate it in a way, persuade. Because it's not easy to regulate people, the young especially, when you force them.
Correct.
They rebel. So we have to try to win them over by getting to know them, have some talks with them through cybercast, through other youth movement, through the political party, have dialogue, have training session, Facebook, Instagram, whatever avenues we can. Even we work closely with SESA, Sarawak Electronic Sports Association, which is Sarawak also, because they also have racing simulation, bikes and cars. So what we, because a lot of the youth go there, they are also doing, the real one too. So then we tied up, work together, and hopefully we build enough conscience in people. Hey, look, do things legally, do things properly, do things in a controlled environment where safety is number one, and nobody who is not supposed to be there get hurt. Meaning, if you're a racer, if you make a mistake, you get hurt, hey, you know what you're getting into. Not the innocent bystander. Yeah? So that is one. And I would like to also groom young talents. Because when they get the license to race motorbike, Capri, or motocross, or car, they can upgrade themselves over time, the ranking, to become a state champion, national champion, Asian champion, and world champion. But it all takes time. We have a lot of talents. The previous ones, Dato Snodan is also a racer at one time when he was young. His brother, Dato Freddy Lawan, also a racer, go-kart. Then you got people like Alex Wong, who also a racer. Now we have currently, all these guys already retired. Currently, we have people like Fishley, who's a drift champion, drifting. We have people who are doing drag, who are doing quite well. We have a lady who's doing very well now. I forgot her name.
I forgot her name, but yes, I've heard of
she's
this
in the
thing.
news recently. Very young, and surprisingly, she's doing very well. She started off with simulation. Then she upgrade herself to actual. So
My producer's in my ear telling me we have to conclude.
Oh, okay.
But before we do, I guess on that note, right, there are probably a ton of guys out there watching who are racers, right, and who may be interested actually in maybe formalizing their skills and getting the training. What steps would they need to do, say, to get licensed, or what would you
contact us also on Facebook, or you can contact CESA also, no harm, SMA or CESA. You can Google us, and you see our website, okay? Or contact us on Facebook, or you can contact me. My information is on the internet. Or you can contact you guys too, no harm, yeah? Or you can contact MAM, Malaysia Automobile Association in KL, the main body, and we take it from there. Okay.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for taking the time. This was an enlightening conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I thoroughly enjoyed the time we spent together.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, he grew up speaking 4 languages across 2 communities. He studied abroad, he built a career in finance, and then he came back home. Every role since, the council, the party, the Senate, has pointed at the same thing: making sure Sarawak's place in this federation is honored and not just acknowledged. Senator, our closing statement on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Real people, real stories, real Sarawak.
Segulai sejalai.